The financial secrets of stamp matters of credit, what banks don't want you to know about different ways you can get loans and answer credit to them. You've got to watch this video. Hey friends, the purpose of this video is strictly for entertainment and educational purposes. Nothing that we offer in this video should be considered as legal or financial advice. The purpose of this video is strictly for entertainment and educational purposes only. Also want to let you know, we're flattered by all the imitators out there who try to imitate our domains, my picture, my dry sense of humor, and things like that. All official communications from our company comes from one domain, allfundsglobal.com. We do not have other domains. We do not participate in social media or chat groups or WhatsApp groups to solicit anything to anybody. We only booked professional consultation calls through our website, and all communications comes from allfundsglobal.com. We look forward to working with you. My organization helps successful businesses leverage their cash, their assets, like things like SAMs or credit, to access capital that the top banks are primarily offering their VIP clients. We can do this because of the volume of transactions we do with banks, because of the relationships we have, and because of our expertise in this area. The capital our clients are getting allows them to fast track by 10 years the capital that they need to invest in their businesses today, allows them to get the money they need for project financing to grow their business, buy out their businesses, and remove the need to have investors for things that they want to do. So I want to talk to you about John Smith. Not his real name, by the way, but John Smith is a real estate developer. He's been in real estate developments for ages. He's decided to also go into artificial intelligence, and because of his wife's situation, to invest in medical device to really help with some of the health concerns that this family is dealing with. John has always known about retail banking. You know, if you want to build real estate stuff, you want to build properties, you go to a bank, you put your property as a down payment or something, you borrow as much money as you can, you pay a lot of interest rate, and you have to give them your first part, your second part, as much security as the bank would want. He's also very experienced in using investors' capital, talk to his friends and family as investors to raise capital for project with their financing. John somewhat recently discovered this area called stamp matters of credit, how to get stamp matters of credit, have it monetized, and get access to capital the banks are not giving him. He talked to a number of different providers to look at, what are some options out there. Something about the people that he was talking to, for some reason, he didn't trust them. So he looked around, he looked for references, and for some unknown reason, he came across All Funds Global. He came across me, he went and he talked to one of my clients, who was a reference to say, yeah, we've worked with Taimour before. This provided financing for us using stamp matters of credit, and then reach out to my company. Primarily, he liked us because we're in TrustSpotted. We have a high score on TrustSpotted. We have a lot of references, testimonials. We registered with FINRA and SEC under a dealer broker, and so on. He decided to buy all my books, especially structured finance, to learn how these SAMs or credit gets issued by the banks, why the banks are doing it, how do they benefit from it, and how is it that banks don't tell all their clients about these types of funding programs. A little bit about the biggest challenges some of our clients have. A lot of our clients oftentimes are looking for large amounts of funding, like 40 million, 80 million, 800 million, to fund projects that they need funding for. The problem is when you go to a retail bank, they want your firstborn, your secondborn, and collateral for that $80 million that you simply don't have. Even if you have it as a high interest rate, and it takes a long time to try to even get a penny from a bank. The second option a lot of clients think that they have is to go to investors. You're going to talk to maybe 10,000 people, try to get 50 investors to come with as much capital as you need for you to have that $80 million that you need. Not a lot of people that I know of know how to go find a lot of investors, comfortable pitching to investors. Even when you get investors in, they're people. They have emotions, they're moody, they have life circumstances that comes to them. And when they invest $5 with you, they may need it tomorrow, although they know that, you have told them your project will take 8 years or 10 years for it to pay back. In banking, when you walk into a bank, you may notice the banks have different divisions. There's retail banking, which everybody in the planet knows about. But banks have wholesale banking, they have capital markets. But much more importantly, they also have something called private banking. If you go to the private banking group and say, hey, I want $80 million, you will get a very, very different structure compared to retail banking. Let me say this again. When you go to your bank, assuming you go to a developed country, you say, hey, I want $80 million for project financing. The deal you get, the structure you get in project financing and a private bank is very different to what you get in retail bank. So as an entrepreneur, if you need capital, when you go to a bank, instead of turning right and go to retail banking, turn left. Go to private banking division of your bank and say, hey, I want to do project financing. I want an $80 million loan. What can you, Mr. Private Bank division of my bank, offer? When we get calls at Alphonse Global, it's often because clients want to leverage private banking products and services to access capital, but they don't have relationships, they don't have the know-how, they don't have the expertise, and that's why they retain our firm to help structure the financing for them with a bank that we have a relationship with, or a private bank that we have a relationship with that we could go to and help execute the deal. I'm going to talk about SBLCs, or standard letters of credit, because that seems to be a very popular vehicle for entrepreneurs. They go on the internet, and I have no idea all the junk that they read on the internet. But some guy says, hey, I'm going to give you $500 million SBLC. And if you can monetize it, you make like $100 million. Meanwhile, the client has no credit rating, is in debt, if I can say that way. And they get really excited by the option of getting $100 million into a business that's tanking. A lot of times within Alphonse Global, when we get clients calling us, it's simply because A, they don't know who to market themselves within the private banking, they don't know what to say, how to pitch themselves, and how to structure that financing. So they retain us, they work with us so that we can take them to some of the private banking divisions or private banks that we work with, structure financing to help them get that $40 million, $100 million, $500 million transaction that they're looking for. It's really, really, really important to know that this is not a product, I want to say this respectfully, for the homeless person. You can't walk in, but hey, I have no money in my pocket. I have this land that's worth $1 trillion in Guyana as an example, and I want you to go get project financing for me. It does not work that way. You've got to have some amount of capital, $5 million, $3 million, some amount of liquid capital walking into the table with a project that requires financing before organizations like ours can be helpful to you. So this is not a product for homeless people kind of thing. You've got to be a high net worth client. You have to have a project that requires financing, and you have to have some amount of money that a private banker can leverage to access that $80 million that you're looking for, that $500 million that you're looking for, and so on. So one popular question I get is, Taimour, I heard a lot about this thing called managed buy sales of standard letters of credit. How does these things work? How do people make money in a managed buy sell of standard letters of credit? And how do me, the entrepreneur, get the capital that I need to do project financing? So getting funding using a vehicle managed by sell of standard letters of credit, how does it work? Oftentimes it's a corporation, we call them cutting houses. That corporation could have $2 billion as an example with a bank like HSBC, Barclays, and so on. And for a fee, what they'll do is they'll block their money in their bank account for a fee, and they'll issue something called standard letter of credit. Now, they're not giving you $1, they're not giving you a penny, you can't take the money out, but they're giving you a standard letter of credit for a fee. So let's say I have $2 billion in my bank account. Imagine I have $2 billion in my bank account. I'm going to block $100 million of that $2 billion for you, and I'm going to give it to you in something called standard letter of credit. So it's a standard letter of credit that I'm allowing you to leverage and have. Now, I'm going to lease it to you. Lease means I'm not giving you the vehicle called the SBLC or standard letter of credit. You're renting it from me for a fee. So I'm not giving you my money. I'm allowing you to leverage a letter of credit that I'm issuing from my money to you. Now, when I call my bank and I say, hey, I want to block $100 million standard letter of credit, consider there's a hard cost that I have to incur out of my pocket. Consider there's a hard cost I have to incur from my pocket for blocking that money. The banker is not going to do it for free. So if the bank says, Mr. Zaman, I will block this, $100 million for you, I'll issue a standard letter of credit, I'm going to charge you 2.5 points. And for every month that we blocked it, we're going to charge you 1%. Well, that's money that's out of my pocket. That's hard money that's out of my pocket. A legitimate issue of a SAMA of credit will have a fee structure that will say, what's the market rate today for me to issue a SAMA of credit? If interest rates are, let's say, 7%, as an example, well, I'm not going to give you a SAMA of credit for 3%. That financially doesn't make sense. So I'm going to charge you, let's say, 14%, 15%, some amount of money for blocking the money. And guess what? You have to pay that money up front because I'm not going to be putting money out of my pocket, hoping, praying that excuse my language, the stupid entrepreneur who has never done this before is going to get $100 million SAMA of credit from my bank. And it's going to give it to Josh Muck, what's called the monetizing company. And also I'm going to get paid. There's a lot of entrepreneurs that talk to joker brokers who've never a day of their life work in banking or private banking or done, they even graduate from common sense school. And the joker broker says, I'm going to give you a SAMA of credit for $500 million and you don't have to pay a penny for it. Well, that's just illogical. I don't know anybody who in their right mind that will ever do that. So you as an entrepreneur must come to a table with 1.6 million, with 2 million, with some amount of capital you have to have in your pocket that either you got it from your savings account or you raise it from your investors, but that's the amount of capital you have to have ready to go so that issue of the SAMA of credit to block the money and issue the SAMA of credit to. Now comes the other side of the equation, it's called monetizer. Monetizers are corporations. And let's say the monetizer has a custodian account, has a custodian relationship, has some type of banking relationship with a bank, and his banking relationship says, hey, Mr. Bank, when I deposit an asset in your corporation that's worth 100 million, 200 million, you, the bank, are going to get us a 10 times multiplier, or you're going to get 50 times, whatever the bank is getting as a multiplier. I, as a client of the bank, who's going to give you 50 million, 100 million, 500 million, I need to get something out of it myself. So the client and the bank will have a private contract. That client is often referred to in this industry as a monetizer, somebody who can receive assets like SAMAs or credit as an example. They are leveraging that asset with their bank, so when they're depositing $100 million SAMA of credit with their bank, they're going to get a 10 times multiplier, so they get $1 billion amount of credit out of it from their bank. I'm going to talk about Allfunds Global Banking Innovation Conferences. Around the world, we get together and we put bank CEOs from different geographies that apply and participate in different regulators to come together and talk about their capabilities. What we've been able to do very successfully is putting small and medium-sized bank CEOs in an Airbnb for a period of time to get to know each other, to get out of their heads, to go out of their businesses, and be able to discover new ahas and insights and share resources with each other. That's made an exponential impact. If you're a CEO of a bank, you want to for sure sign up. Check us out. Check out the testimonials from multiple bank CEOs about what they've accomplished from coming to our gatherings.
It's extremely unique. I haven't seen anything like that in other conferences. So it's a really good opportunity for networking. It's really good opportunity to see how other people do business. And for me, coming from Europe, obviously, it opens up a whole different dimension of doing business.
If you imagine you're a monetizer, imagine you call your bank, you open up a custodian account with your bank, so trade finance account, and you set up a 10,000 multiplier with your bank. Imagine you do that. When you receive $100 million amount of credit and you deposit that with your bank, you're going to get $1 billion line of credit loan. $1 billion line of credit loan is what you're going to receive. What can you do with $1 billion that you could never afford to do with $100 million? Now, here comes the best part. A lot of stupid people will say, well, people can't make money. Why don't they put their own money in their own system? Well, first of all, that's illegal. I don't know any bank can leverage their own money to create a credit line for itself. Most people with common sense say, I'm going to create a structure for other people to bring their assets to me, just like what your bank does. Your bank does the same thing. I will have other people bring in their assets or cash assets to me, and I'm going to leverage it to get a new multiplier. That's what a monetizer does, exactly the same religion. They'll say, I'll be the monetizer, I'll receive the same amount of credit. On me getting $100 million same amount of credit, I'm going to give you an $80 million what's called limited recourse loan. The joker broker term out there is called non-recourse loan. Non-recourse loans don't exist. It's not technically a right word to use. The legally correct banking word to use is limited recourse loan. So why would a guy give you $80 million that you never, ever, ever have to pay back? Well, because when you give him $100 million standby of credit, he's getting $1 billion. You know what he can do with $1 billion? If you invest, I live in a beautiful Toronto. If you invest $1 billion in Toronto real estate and do 10% a year, you're making $100 million for life. $100 million for life, assuming real estate doesn't even go up in price, which it does. So when you give somebody $100 million standby of credit, trust me, you are setting their family, their generational family in terms of wealth. So that's why you have companies that are monetizers, and they'll say, when you give me an asset like a standby of credit, I'm going to give you 60%, 70%, 80%, 9%, some amount of percent in form of a limited recourse loan that you never have to pay. Why? Because of the money they make. So the issuer, the company that's issuing that of credit, he's going to say, he's not stupid. He's going to say, look, I got $2 billion. I'll issue a standby amount of credit to you for $100 million, and my fee is 15%. I'm just using 15% as an example. It could be 25%. But he's not giving you money. You have to understand, he's not physically giving you one penny. He's charging you 15%, 20%, 25% for blocking his money in his bank account. For him, that's awesome. What an issuer needs for doing that is he needs a business plan, so that if the bank or the auditor or securities commission contacts him, says you are issuing standby of credit because we're allowing you to, what are you doing with it? He has to show he has the privilege of doing standby of credit, so that he's doing something called project financing. He has to do that. So legitimate issuer will say, show me a business plan that you're funding, show me the amount of financing you need for it, and based on that business plan for a fee, I'm going to give you something called standby of credit. So that's how the issuer makes a lot of money. And so he gives you his $100 million, $500 million. Once he's giving it to you and you paid him for it, guess what he's going to do? End of the year, he's going to do it again and again and again with other clients.
Hi friends, I now want to take a minute and answer some of your frequently asked questions. One of the common questions I get a lot is, Taimour, we've learned a lot from you through your YouTube channel. How do we learn more? Can we fly down and meet your team? And the answer to all of that is yes, yes, and yes. If you want to learn more, my first invitation is to become a member of Allfunds Global. You simply go to our website, allfundsglobal.com. You sign up to become a member for free. You get access to webinars, offshore events that we do, and content that we never, ever, ever, ever publish on YouTube. I promise you that it's worth becoming a member for sure. The second way that you can learn a lot is I'm a published author. Structured Financing, Demystified, Hypergrowth, just multiple books on Amazon that you can get access to. I highly recommend going and checking out some of these books, getting engaged into some of the stuff, that strategies and tactics that we're using for ourselves, for our families, for our friends. You definitely want to check these things out for sure. Another question, I guess, Taimour, why are you so passionate about getting a bank license? Why is that so important? Well, the truth is, our mission within Allfunds Global is to help businesses become self-funded for life. Imagine you run a coffee shop and I run a coffee shop. Imagine we buy the coffee beans from the same grower and my coffee shop is right across yours, like really right across yours. Our competition is probably nil. But if you have a bank license and I don't have a bank license, and let's say I made $500,000 and you made $500,000 in income, but if you have a bank license, you are depositing a bank license with the central bank of the country where you own your own private bank license. Let me repeat this again. You are depositing your money with the central bank of the country you have your bank license on. So $500,000 deposited with the central bank should give you a line of credit of 10 times multiple. So that means you get a line of credit of $5 million. Now it's not free money, it's a line of credit of $5 million. Now, if you draw that entire money out and you go to whichever country you're currently resonating in, the country you're doing business with, and you know in real estate, you want to buy a house, you put 20% down and you get a loan for 80%, same thing. You put $5 million down with a business plan to your local bank, whoever you bank with, and say, hey, I want to grow my business, my technology business, real estate business, pharmaceutical business, whatever business it is. I'm a venture capitalist. I'm putting $5 million down. Your bank gives you a loan at four times more, so now you get a $20 million loan. Now it's not free money, it's $20 million loan. What can you afford to do with $20 million that I cannot afford to do with $500,000? Could you invest in artificial intelligence? Could you invest in hiring better people? Could you invest in advertising? Hell, with that amount of money, could you even buy auxiliary businesses or invest in auxiliary businesses? I say you can, and that's why we within All Funds Global are so passionate in helping clients become self-funded for life, and getting a private bank license is one of the vehicles that I am personally very passionate about helping clients on. Another question, I guess, Taimour, you charge a consultation fee. All Funds Global, the team charges a consultation fee. Why do you charge a consultation fee when you guys can make so much money on the back end? It somehow slows me down from taking a credit card and paying you money for it. Well, here's the truth. We offer our content, millions and millions of dollars worth of content completely for free on YouTube. We don't advertise as of the date of doing this video. We don't advertise on YouTube, Google, or we don't do any kind of advertising at all. And what we find is the volume of traffic that goes into YouTube attracts people that are tire kickers, people that are fraudsters, people that have mental health issues. When we charge a small consultation fee, this deters the hacker, the fraudster, the person who's shopping around, the tire kicker. It eliminates all that and allows me and my team to be on calls or meetings with customers we actually want to do business with. What a concept. Now comes, this is better. At the time of doing a transaction with a client, that fee they pay for a consultation call, we refund it. At the conclusion of us doing a transaction with a client, we refund 100% of all the monies that they paid on consultation fees. This allows us to work with people that are committed to working with us, are serious about working with us, are not tire kickers, are not people that are like, they don't know what banking 101 is, and they're there to waste our time and energy. Just eliminates that. And me and my team are very proud of doing that. Next question, I guess, Taimour, the alternative funding industry overall has a lot of fraudsters in it, has a lot of deep fake in it. What are you doing to protect us, protect yourself? So here's the answer to that. Any industry that has a lot of money by default attracts a lot of fraud. Let me say this again. Any industry that attracts a lot of money by default attracts a lot of fraud. I don't know who you bank with. If you bank with one of the top 20 banks in the world, pick a bank you bank with, or you use payment processing companies like PayPal, these companies see a lot of fraud every day, from fraudsters mimicking their website to mimicking their email addresses, and in cases like mine, once a year or twice a year, some idiot, excuse my language, decides to copy my picture on social media, tries to create a fake profile of me, and goes on social media selling scammy transactions. Now, we have the technology and the resources to catch that, usually within 72 hours of that happening, and then cause legal action against that fraudster. We have the financial resources, thank God, to do that today, but that's just the nature of this industry. So what we do to protect ourselves is we never solicit on social media anything, nor do we solicit in general. We offer a lot of educational materials, but we don't solicit. You'll never see me or any of my associates on any social media trying to sell anything, ever. Second, all transactions that we do, money always has to go through a reputable law firm. All transactions we do, money always has to go to a reputable law firm. You know, we never ask the client to send us money or anything like that. Now, I do want to take a minute and talk a little bit about my competitors. In the United States, in the US alone, US has 3% of the world's population, and they have over 60% of the world's lawyers. In the United States, that's a fact, have 3% of the world's population and over 60% of the world's lawyers. I have a lot of legitimate competitors in the United States and around the world that unfortunately have been sued for wrongful things that other people have done. There's a lot of negative stuff on social media or websites about some of my legitimate competitors. And I want to tell you that a lot of my competitors are legitimate. They're hardworking people. I know them. They deliver real results. And unfortunately, they have negative comments or fraud or even losses against them. The reason within All Funds Global doesn't have a lawsuit against it, or me, Taimour Zaman, don't have a lawsuit against me, or people on social media saying that we're fraudsters or something like that, is simply because of my lack of vision. Every company you deal with, every major company you deal with, whether it's the cars you drive, Ford, Lexus, I don't know, GM, or Facebook, Google, YouTube, whatever you use, or medicine you have, like Taimour, all of these companies have lawsuits against them. A lot of the companies you work with have litigations against them as just part of the growth. At some point, the business needs to grow exponentially, and that's when you have to see lawsuits as just the nature of the business growing. The fact that we don't have it is because of my lack of vision as the CEO and like trying to bark a tree like that. Now, I see that changing as we buy businesses that have other CEOs, as we grow, we have over 800 registered brokers with us. As that number grows, it's not normal for our business to continue growing without some idiot calling us fraudster, some idiot trying to sue us, or something like that. If you want to take advantage of the alternative funding industry, I'm going to tell you this is the industry I love. I'm going to tell you this is the industry that I've made a lot of money with. I'm going to tell you this is the industry I've helped a lot of clients make a lot of money with, friends and family make a lot of money with. And if this is an industry you want to get involved in, I recommend meeting the people you want to do business with, like physically flying out to meeting them. If you can afford to hire an investigator, we use a lot of former FBI, former CIA people. These are people you can hire to do background checks. It's not only do these people have lawsuits or not, or other losers calling them fraudsters or not. I'm telling you, a lot of my competitors are really good people, and they're not fraudsters. So do your own due diligence, listen to your intuition. We're really interested in working with some really good people that are vision-driven entrepreneurs that really want to serve the world, and I think we have some things that are really amazing to offer. Another question I get is, Taimour, we love all the services of Funds Global. What are the top 3 services you offer that we should really seriously think about, call you or your organization and get you guys involved? But my favorite service, the one that makes a lot of sense, is the trusted advisory service. This is when we become your chief banking officer. We work with your CFO, your legal team, the CEO, the COO. We look at where your organization is, where you want it to be. We look at banking programs that make sense for your type of business, that are proven and would work to generate access to alternative revenue sources for your business that makes sense. From that, we then create offshore tax structures, offshore bank accounts, offshore bank licenses for your organization, so the revenue that gets generated has a channel to go to that is well protected. We have a lot of domain expertise that I do not share ever on YouTube. It's not like a lawyer who's like, go create a trust account and cooks at it. We don't do. We do some very sophisticated stuff that I'm very proud of. That's our intellectual property. And so the trusted advisory services, where we become a trusted advisor, is one of the things that I would recommend everybody to look at. It's a monthly retainer, you pay for it, but let me tell you, for every penny you put in to that, you get tens of dollars out of it. And I think you're not going to get this amount of expertise dedicated to your business. So that's something I would recommend you to think about and sign up for. Second one is, if you're looking for access to capital, we have a lot of unique programs like Rent a Rich Uncle that we can support your organization as long as your organization is a successful business and not a startup, not somebody who's going bankrupt. It's a successful business that has real cash, real assets, and is generating something real, that's real growth. I think we have some avenues for accessing capital that others simply cannot offer. And the final one that I love is we have a lot of asset management structures that are very unique to our intellectual property that I love to share with you. If you have assets, you want to grow, you want to get a bank license, you want to set up a trust, you want to work with multiple central banks, do some really cool stuff, I think I'm the only weirdest person that has real expertise and experience in doing this stuff. And so my name is Taimour. I'm from Alphonse Global. Thank you for following us up on YouTube. If you're doing that, thank you for trusting me. Thank you for trusting my team. And on behalf of my team, I just really want to say thank you. And we look forward to the opportunity of serving you.